Hi, everyone. Um, Thank you for being here with me again tonight. Tonight's video is going to be maybe a little difficult for me, um, or maybe not. It's just not a very easy subject for me to talk about. As yeah, it's about something. It was kind of hard to deal with. Um, so yeah, what I wanted to talk about tonight is my personal experiences with being attacked um, by a spirit whose portrait I'd made. Um, at this point, I'm not even sure if I want to mention that spirit's name. I might actually do so just to make sure there's no confusion. To Yeah, to make sure that there's no speculation on who it might be. Also, I don't know if there's a sound. I think previous times I had some problems with my sound. I don't know if it's working now. If someone can let me know. If I think it should be because I see the mic thing is moving. But yeah, so first things first. Thank you, Black Atrium. Atrium. I don't know how to pronounce it, but thank you very much. And so, yeah, I just wanted to start with that. My experiences with this spirit. That's my personal. Um, it's my personal experience, and other people have had great results working with this same spirit. Um, Otherwise, this person wouldn't like. Otherwise, that specific person who I made the portrait for wouldn't, of course, wouldn't have asked me to do that. So, by all means, if you feel like if for instance you're already working with that spirit, or you really feel a strong call to do so, even um, after this video. Um, by all means do so, because your experiences might not be the same as mine. It's depends on so many different factors, like different alignments, different. It's not just your own personality, but just so many different things. Um, so yeah, I just wanted to get that out of the way first. Like, I'm not trying to discourage people from working with this spirit, um, if you feel a strong calling to do so. And yeah, so that's that. So yeah, I should have probably written down some things. I decided to just go with this, like, kind of keep it a little pure, I suppose. Um, but as I said, like in the description, last year, roughly around this time last year, I got out of. I kind of crawled out of an attack from this spirit, and I keep myself. I keep catching myself even now, just sort of downplaying it, as if maybe it was something else, like a lesson. Um, I, I, well, maybe it's not even downplaying. Maybe as things are still unfolding, then maybe it was some sort of a lesson in a way. But yeah, so um, I was crawling out of that, and took me about a year another year to finally be able to talk about it, and without resentment towards that spirit. Um, yeah, that's, I think, around this. If I had made this video like a year ago, I was still in a place where I wanted that spirit's head on a plate, and that's just not. It's not very constructive, it's not very helpful. And so the reason I'm doing this is, part of it is also to close a chapter for myself, but also to share some of my insights, some of the things that I learned, um, some of the mistakes I made, um, so that you don't make the same mistakes that I did. Um, yeah, something, yeah, those kind of things. So in the meantime, feel free to ask questions. I will try to keep an eye on the chat. Um, so let's start with how it started. Um, this was something that roughly actually took at least half a year to unfold. So going all the way back to 2 years ago, around the same time too, I was asked to make a spirit portrait of Eurinomus. So said his name. And Eurinomus is a very uh, yeah, even in like historic texts, he is a very dark spirit. He is a spirit of death, but mostly of decay. And that is something that idea that um, I could just walk up to him and make his portrait and not be affected by who he is. Perhaps that was the first mistake I made. Um, yeah, that could have been the first thing. Like, okay, so, and sort of ironically, the portrait that I made with him and the initial collaboration, it went really great. It was a really, I think it was a really cool portrait, and probably something I'm still proud of. Maybe especially now that I know that what price I actually ended up paying. So, and like I said, this is in no way a video to trash talk him or talk shit about him, as right now things are still, like I said, it's still unfolding. Maybe within a few years I will look at this whole experience and maybe did do see it as some sort of a teaching, or maybe find out why he did what he did. Maybe he did have good reasons, for instance. So um, yeah, so I made that portrait. Took a few weeks. Now, this was part of a larger order that someone placed, and I that's the mistake number two, probably, that I made, was that while I was finished with his work, with his portrait, and I already started working with the next for that same person, the next spirit, I kept his altar up all the time, and for several, probably for roughly 2 months, maybe, or even longer, his altar was up, and his offerings were out, put out, and didn't remove them. So he was probably maybe just even getting bored. He was just sitting. He was in like had access to my house. Um, Grew stronger, and I didn't realize that I basically left that sort of gate open for him and left these things to attach to. Maybe kept calling him even indirectly, and that's um, yeah, indirectly calling him because I left his offerings on the sigil the whole time. Maybe, yeah, I walked around his where his altar was, did things, lived my life, worked with other spirits, probably in his presence, and maybe he just got bored, or he just like, yeah, what am I gonna do here? And maybe I think I should. That's one thing. Number one that I, or number two that I learned from this is that once the work is done, you remove the offerings. Maybe leave it out for a few days, but not for 2 months. That is your, yeah, and that's that maybe that is something that you can do with a spirit that is a little more known to humanity, that has a little bit more experience with humanity and knows how we work. Um, James Anthony, I'm talking about Eurynomus. So maybe, yeah, you'll hear me maybe repeating his name a few times. Again, if anyone who's joining, um, who is working with him right now or wants to work with him and has a good relationship with him, um, don't again, don't, yeah, my experiences are my experiences, so don't let this damage your, whatever it is that you're doing with him, or your bond with him. That is, yeah. So that's not what I want this to be. So um yeah, and getting back, where was I exactly? Black atrium, some spirits just do what they do, and that is very much that's one of the big lessons I learned, that um that saying, when it's, I knew it was a snake when I picked it up. There should have been, so like, I should have known. Like, yeah. um so the interesting things, like, there were some signs already that, some cracks on the surface, and that was another mistake, or maybe something I just didn't realize, like I didn't connect the dots. um Very early on, as I started with the portrait of the Eurynomus, Loki, my spirit mediator, actually warned me, but I didn't understand it as such. Um, because of kind of how he did it is, he started laughing at the spirit, like he started mocking him. And that's it was also very it was a dream that I had, very peculiar. There, I mean, this whole thing, there's so much more to it. Like, yeah. So just as I started working on that portrait, I had a dream where I met with, I had a meeting, like an official meeting somewhere to discuss the work. And out came this tall, thin man, and he was wearing, I think he was bald or wearing like a top hat, something like that. And he was dressed in black and white, like half black, half white, which is, I've come to realize, a bit of a sign that death gods have. Like a lot of death gods or death entities dress that way, like they have the black and white or stripes or half black, half white, something like that. Um, so that's how he dressed. And he had these weird glasses on, like very goggles, or there's some weird device. And he was very serious. Um, Told me this, wanted to tell this serious story about why he was wearing those, because it had to do something with his eyes, like going blind or something along those lines. And that it was a terrible experience for him, but he made it that device to cure himself, or to be able to see or deal with the damage that he got. And Loki was with me as my spirit mediator. He was right there with the meeting, and he started laughing. He started laughing at that spirit, and that's, yeah. That should have been a sign for me. I actually said, I'm to the spirit. I said, okay, I'm sorry for my I think associates in Dutch. I speak Dutch in my dreams, of course. So anyway, so I said, I'm sorry for his behavior. That's very rude. He shouldn't be laughing and mocking, and yeah. But I think that was already my my first sign. Like, Loki doesn't like him. Loki had, there was something up. Like, otherwise he wouldn't be mocking that spirit like that. Hey, Friar, good to see you. So I'm trying to kind of stick to my story as well. So where was I? All right, okay. So as I'm starting to work with the next spirit um, for that series. So it's for, yeah, not really a series. I mean, just the next portrait. Um, it was a portrait of Belial, and this was something that, so that other spirit, Eurynomus, actually tricked, or not necessarily tricked, but he framed Belial actually. And he started to, he probably sort of realized what my fears are, and started working with that slowly, but very very undercover. I had, like, for months I had no idea it was him. So um, I had a really messed up nightmare just as I was working with Billy. And one of my fears, I'm quite, generally scared of death. I know I shouldn't be because I work with all these spirits, but I am. And hey, I was, of course, working with a death spirit while you're afraid of death might be, you know, make you an extra um, prey, maybe. So he probably noticed that. I'm also one of the things I fear or worry about sometimes is finding a dead body. That's something. I often walk with my dog, like going to the woods and things like that, and it's something I would, yeah. It's something I sometimes worry about because it's always the people who have dogs who find those kind of things, you know. And he probably knew that. Um, Again, because I left his altar up all the time without him having anything to do anymore. So he probably started observing me and tried to find out what makes me tick and maybe found something that he likes or and decided to feed feed on that. So what he did, yeah, I had that nightmare where someone um, who I didn't know, but yeah, it was a group of friends, and one of them was named Nabil. He was an Arabic man, or North African or Arabic, and Nabil was I don't know, he was in that dream. He was into some weird things, and there was something about him getting candy, and he climbed up high up in a tree, maybe to hide the candy, something like that. He climbed high up in a tree at night, and then he fell out, and he fell to his death. And that was some I saw that happening, sort of, even, yeah, like not even from third person view, but I was there, and it was very there was something interesting about that name because the name Nabil means nobility. So basically, it was the falling down and the death of nobility. I still don't know exactly what that means. Maybe that's something that's going to be unfolded at some point. Um, but yeah, I mean that's not just some name. I don't even know. I don't think I know anyone named Nabil, so it was probably about what it means. Um, so he fell to his death, and I wanted to leave because I did not want to see all that. And it wasn't even that gory or anything, but it was just so sad because his friends were all crying, and it was really, really horrible. And then and I was just sort of standing there wanting to go, and out from the bushes came again this guy dressed in black and white, half black, half white, and he was wearing these big shoes. As the same skinny guy, and he came carrying that body. And I said, "Stop! Don't bring that to me. I don't want this. I want you to stop." But he kept walking towards me, like, "Hey, don't you know who I am?" And like he wanted to greet me, but also bring that body to me, like trying to rub it in my face almost, And at that point, there was a group of people around me that they asked me, "What do you want?" And I said, "I just want to go away from here. I don't want to be here." And so I was taken away. But the thing is that Billy L, Billy L always, Billy L is known to, he puts me through a lot of nightmares, sheer horror stuff. But something that Belial always does is he offers a way out when it's too much. Um, I can tell him, like, I will ask him to stop, and he will stop. This guy kept walking towards me. He kept going and going, and so something that Belial and I always do at the end, like at the end of one of his harsh teachings, is we do like a fist bump. So you know that we're still good. And this guy wanted to do the same thing. He came up with his fist, like, "Come on, do a fist bump." And I told him, like, "I don't even know who you are exactly." And I said, "Yeah, we're not cool." Like, so I'm not even sure if I did that fist bump, but so he copied. That's the thing. What he did is he copied Billy O, copied his style, and tried to um, get away with what with literally bringing the things that I fear into my face. So that was that, and I ended up finishing all the portraits and still keeping up all the offerings because at that point, yeah, I still wasn't aware exactly what had happened because exactly like yeah, as James Anthony here says, uh, that you're surprised that Belial would allow that to happen. The thing is, um, maybe Belial is of course very strong, but maybe he got tricked too, and just because a spirit is not that well known, it says nothing about how strong that spirit is. So I don't know. I'm not sure. Maybe Belial had his reasons not to interfere too much. Maybe he tried. Maybe he tried and failed. Or maybe I don't think that, you know, that spirit didn't get away with what he did exactly. So I don't know exactly. I'm not entirely sure how that happened, and if at that point when I had just had that dream, I was very angry at Belial because I thought it was him. I hadn't connected those dots yet that it wasn't him. Um, I was very, very angry because, yeah, exactly. He didn't respect. He didn't even respect my personal boundaries. So, and that's something that Belial never does that way. So, I don't know. Maybe he allowed it to happen and sort of Maybe he got. I got a sense of perhaps Belial tried something, maybe some sort of alliance, or mm, maybe got screwed over too. Spirits can get screwed over as well, of course. They can betray each other. I think. Um, yeah, there's a lot that I'm still trying to find out one way or another, maybe as to the whys and hows of all this. So, as I continued, um, I probably, yeah, and leaving that altar up, I probably also did things near that altar. That's mistake number three that I made, was doing private things. Um, doesn't matter what, it's just anything that you don't want uh, spirits that you don't know very well, like, yeah, you don't want them to take part in it, then don't do it near their altar. That's something I didn't realize. I thought I could just, leave them out of it. But in the meantime, he was um, he was right, probably just right there, wanting to take part and maybe um, getting angry that I was leaving him out. Um, who knows? And that's very understandable. I shouldn't have it do done, like, I don't know, evocation, like calling upon other spirits that I have a more private connection to, uh, and other sorts of just private things. I should not have done that um, near where his offerings were. That's something I'm definitely not doing anymore. Doesn't matter which spirit it is. Um, if it's a spirit that I don't know, like, and I'm doing something that I do not want that spirit to take part in, then I make sure to do it in another room or another space, not in front of that being. It's almost kind of rude. I just didn't realize that. So he also, I'm also sure he saw me. Um, he saw all my worries, all my fears, everything. Like I said, because I left his stuff out for so long, um, he was probably able to analyze me in so many ways. And just, I think at some point there was, because, yeah, I'm quite a fearful person, I think. Um, I have some anxiety issues, not ashamed of that. So I don't mind sharing that online. Some irrational fears. I know that they're not rational, but still, it probably has to do with ADHD and things. I'm just wired that way. Um, so that tendency is already there. Sometimes that leads to like anxiety attacks, and that probably happened in his presence too, because I'm in my own house. you know he probably saw that. And some spirits, they like to feed on that. They like to feed on fear. And I can imagine a spirit like Urinomos, who is a spirit of fear, not a spirit of fear, a spirit of death and decay, would probably maybe he was taking some of that in and liked it, and probably saw opportunity, like, yeah, getting some more. And my fears, at some point I probably reached one of the lowest points I had ever reached when it came to those irrational fears. And it was amplified. It was like someone took the brakes off. Like I was unable to stop. Um, got stuck in loops. Like there was things like OCD stuff happening. Um, because that's another thing. Maybe other, like, people who have anxiety issues. It's probably not just me. You keep checking. Sometimes it's paired with OCD. Uh, you just keep checking if you, for instance, switch the stove off, things like that, or make sure the water isn't still running, and you check that once. No, you don't check it once, you check it like 3 times or sometimes. So I'm pretty sure he just watched me do all that, and just saw opportunity, and made it worse. Yeah, spirits, and that is something that I wanted to share, like how a spirit attack can go, how that can happen, and how it is so very different from what you would see like in Hollywood movies and stuff like that. Um, it's not like it's so much more subtle. So at some point, I saw my fears were just being manifested, not physically, not really, like um, not like anything actually happening, but seeing like commercials or things, posts and weird, like um, things that would trigger that fear, or it was just sort of happening all around me, and I was spiraling out of control almost. And at some point I had already called the help of several spirits. That's, of course, Lucifer, King Paimon. King Paimon in particular has been like a rock, like the solid rock that I needed. And Azazel, Belial, all of them. So I did. At some point, I was aware that maybe this, all this time, for a few months, I thought that this was my own craziness, or that maybe this was something that I had to go through, something, and something that I did to myself. That this was just my fears, um, my problems, and that came from inside. But at some point, I did a meditation to clean myself of negative energy, and I was doing that with King Paimon and Azazel, among others. And suddenly, I saw I was doing this, of course, I was doing this in front of Urinomus's altar again, because I hadn't realized yet that this was him, and hadn't removed his offerings yet. I was doing that in front of his altar, and suddenly from the direction from where his offerings were, I saw, like, in my mind's eye, even though it just really came through, like it went straight through my eyelids or something, and it was an image of me um, in my bed, but I was dead, like an image of my own dead body, and that's when I started to think, like, hey, that's a threat from that direction. Like, what the fuck is going on here? Why would he do that? And so that's when things started ticking. Like, okay, that's not cool. And I think the next night or so, yeah, that was at least very soon after that, I realized that maybe this amplified anxiety and the OCD and the not being able to stop and being stuck in loops for hours sometimes, um, was not just my own doing, and that maybe it came from outside, from an outside source. So I said out loud, maybe, or like stated in my intention, that I I put out an ultimatum, like, yeah, if this is an outside source doing this, um, I gave I would give them, like, I said, I think 12 hours or 24 hours, something like that, an ultimatum to be gone um, before that time, and just leave me alone, and yeah, otherwise there would have been maybe severe consequences. Um, and that night, or early in the morning, just before I woke up again, um, I saw King Paimon um, shielding me. Like, he was covering, he was had his like his body was covering mine, and behind, or like on top of me, or him actually, was again this black and white spirit, dressed half black, half white. This time he was trying to look like Azazel, but I knew, um, like he sort of took on Azazel's physique, but he was still dressed in black and white, half black, half white, and he started throwing things at me that were part of the portrait that I made of him, of Eurinomus, like elements of that portrait, that he started throwing that at me, and that's when I knew for sure. And King Paimon removed him. Yeah, that's probably the right word. Just um, got him out of my house, and said, he told me he will come back with gifts and presents, and he was going to try to be nice to you. Um, don't ever allow him back in. Don't, or at least don't ever allow him to get this close again. So then exactly. Like right after I woke up, I messaged two friends separately who I trust in their spiritual work, in their perception. Um, One of them confirmed that it was indeed King Paimon who warded off another spirit for me. Um, that they saw him with battle wounds, even. The other, like, I didn't even mention a thing, no names, anything to them. The other said he saw an owl on a rotting piece of flesh, which is with Eurynomus being an entity of decay. So that for me. That was my confirmation that King Paimon fought off Eurynomus for me, and I was told to never ever allow him that close again. So yeah, that was my and after that happened, he was removed. Um, he tried to come back, and I was able to ward him off myself at that point. And after that, I haven't seen him again for a long time. And that was when I was finally able to start healing, um, because the source of that poison was removed. But the healing took a year or so. That's because those spirit attacks, at least the way he did it, it affected my thinking even. Um, it went so deep, like it. Yeah, I was even having during like the deepest pit. Um, I was having thoughts that weren't mine, and the weird thing is sometimes when or before that, like in earlier cases where I would sometimes be interrupted in my thoughts. Um, it would usually be Loki or King Paimon, and it would be okay because he is trustworthy and he is allowed to do that, to communicate with me like that. Um, but just having weird, um, dark thoughts that I didn't want to have, but intrusive thoughts. That's what they're called. Like it's not, um, and all it took was probably just one little kick to get that started. I did not have intrusive thoughts before that, and yeah, it's just that's something that I had to do with, and it just shows that those spirit attacks sometimes you come out stronger, and in ways I do think I came out stronger or at least more experienced, but it gives you this, you get scars too, you know. What doesn't kill you makes you stronger maybe, but it also leaves you with scars. And yeah, those intrusive thoughts were definitely something that took a long time I might not ever totally get rid of them, but uh, it's something that a lot of people have, and the key from is to realize that it's not actually what you think. So um, that's I've come a long way with that, fortunately. Um, but yeah, that was something that started with that attack. So um, what else? I was gonna get somewhere, but yeah. Uh, so yeah, looking back at that, I've had several moments where I thought maybe because when it comes to the anxiety that was like going through the deepest pits of hell in a way, um, I know I don't ever want to go back there, and it made me give like not give in to my fears as much anymore, like a big fat warning sign, like you're not ever going back there to that mental state of being. That's something I'm so in that respect I have like recently been less fearful, just not about um not allowing that to ever go that far again, and that's a good thing. I probably became better at ignoring and, yeah, completely dismissing my irrational fears. So at some point I thought maybe, maybe this had to happen for me to overcome some of these obstacles, or to find better ways to deal with them or live with them. And yeah, but there are still some things that probably were not okay that he did anyway. And King Paimon's words of not allowing him to ever come back so close, um, that's exactly what's keeping me from calling him again and wanting to, I don't know, forgive him, maybe hear him out on why he did what he did. So, yeah, and actually, I think a few weeks, maybe like last month or something, that's the first time I saw him again. And he was again in my dream or in my sleep, and he was again wearing the black and white clothing. And he was on the floor, which I think could be like a submissive or um, position, or not wanting to be threatening, I think. Like laying on he was like that, not bowing down, but just on the floor. And he said, I only wanted to bring up the poison, like the bad stuff, bring it up so that it could be dealt with, so that it could be removed. Um, Probably like a deeper cleaning. And maybe that's true, or maybe he's just, I don't know. King Paimon's words just, that is something that I have to take to heart, um, at least for the time being. Yeah, maybe there will be a time when King Paimon will say, like, okay, we can have, like, you can maybe like I can meet him like in a neutral space, and talk it out, finish the thing. And yeah, that's it could also be that, like I said, maybe at the beginning of this video, um maybe he did his time. I don't know. um yeah, I just feel like most of this has been dealt with now, and this is kind of my way of sharing sharing the mistakes that I made, um, what I learned from this, and also giving some sort, yeah, sharing like how subtle a spirit attack can be, and that it's not it's not like what you hear people say, like evoking or calling upon a spirit and seeing some scary things, maybe for a few days or something, and you warded them off just like that because you're so powerful. That's not how that goes. No. If it was so easy, that spirit was probably just, I don't know, toying around maybe. But I think a real attack is something much has a much bigger impact than that. Maybe also depending on exactly who that spirit is, of course. And I also want to add that I'm not even sure if that the intentions initially probably, oh yeah, maybe his intentions weren't even evil. I'm not saying I don't think he's an evil being. I think what happened is that I let him in too close for too long, and he may have formed or wanted to form an attachment, something maybe he was hoping for, like a closer bond, and I denied him probably. And at the same time, he probably saw some, like he wanted my energy and found a way to get it. It's weird, yeah. Part probably also part of his nature that I dismissed even, yeah. So yeah, a lot of this is also on me. um I should not have left his offerings out for so long. I should not have done private things with spirits that are close to me, that near him. And yeah, just I can imagine it could have been like, I'm having a party here and you're not invited, you know. Maybe, yeah. And Azazel actually also already warned me. That's another thing. Azazel has been a great, amazing help with this. Literally taking all my negativity and all my worries, and like he made sure that once I knew what was going on, Azazel was there to take that negativity, like that negative, that fearful energy. Um, the What's interesting is that actually before I was aware what was going on, even before I started having those panic attacks as severe as they got, like at that point I was still just fine. And Azazel came to me, like he told me to um, bring out the stuff, like what I usually do when I have like a severe case of anxiety, I give it to Azazel, like by putting it in a jar for him. And he told me to bring out those jars. Like, what? There's nothing going on. Like, why? I'm okay, I'm feeling fine. But that was months before that attack came to full force, to its peak. And yeah, he knew. He probably already knew that what happened and was trying to tell me, like, get those jars now. So, but I didn't, and because I had no idea why, and yeah, should have probably listened to him and just started removing that poison earlier on. But that's just not how I ended up doing that. So, but definitely big thanks to him. He's been like, it's almost like Azazel was the doctor and King Paimon was the nurse. Yeah, definitely was, and also Billy on Lucifer. There was definitely a team effort getting me back on my feet. And yeah, I need a sip of water. I'm gonna read the chat for like soon. I had to finish the story first. So yeah, and fortunately also within very very soon after I realized that what was going on, like connecting all the dots and everything. Um, Very soon when I realized that I had been attacked by someone whose portrait I made, I was a little hesitant to take on new customers, but fortunately, I was able to work with a pretty cool spirit, actually, a new spirit that I had never met before. Um, but fortunately, that was experience was so much fun. Actually, it was so good. Like I'm so glad that I, as they say, I got back into the saddle just immediately. Um, yeah, and learned from my mistakes. Just yeah. So let me get a look on what's going on here. Black Atrium, have you ever thought about keeping an archangel as a guardian? I have several spirits that guard me very well. Archangel Michael is Michael. I should call him Michael. Michael is definitely one of the spirits that I'm close with. Um, he was present, but in the background. Um, I did see him a couple of times, I think, but I think um, it wasn't necessary for him to do something in this case because I was already getting help from others. Hey, from the light of the darkness. Cool. JD, so good to see you here. You're wearing the King Paimon hoodie too. Yeah, King Paimon is amazing. And this whole experience, it whatever it did, like even though it was horrible, it was really horrible, but it definitely made me get even closer to the spirits that I love. And I love them even more now. And it definitely showed me that they got my back. big time. Yeah, that is yeah. Yes, Scotty Hamilton says a healthy dose of fear is good. Yeah, a healthy dose. But if you're hyper vigilant, for instance, sometimes it could be like an ADHD or autism related thing. Um, Sometimes your nerves are just wired a little differently, and um, with me, it's just always for me. It's something that I guess I just need to make sure to blow off steam more often. Like, I found out that exercising works very well. Um, yeah, yeah. It's just fear is not always good. Like, there's fear for survival and like normal, but when it starts living its own life almost, then that's not a good idea. So yeah, fired. Yeah, it was terrible. Yeah. Black Atrium's thoughts you can't seem to stop, often an entity doing it. I've called on Michael to get those to stop. Yeah, well, it's not always an entity. In my case, it may have been triggered by an entity, but like the sort of damage to the mind. I'm not saying the brain because my brain is fine, sort of. I mean, the damage to the mind and to the thought process. I think that's. I mean, I'm not under attack anymore, but I still have those thoughts. I just know now how to bend them, or how to dismiss them, and just not. I also know not to worry about them anymore because it's brain blurbs. But fact is, those brain blurbs weren't there before. So, but yeah, it's like the attack isn't happening anymore, but it takes a long time for that ball to stop. Like, it got pushed probably, and I might have to accept that it's not going to come to a complete halt. Maybe not even within this lifetime, but that's okay. It's you know um, I've been I can easily live with that now because I know it's bullshit. So Scotty Hamilton says, "Thank you for sharing this. Too many left-hand path occult practitioners aren't talking about the mistakes, missteps, how they extract themselves, and what they learned." Well, thank you. Yeah, um, I think a lot of that's why I wanted to. I was very very hesitant to make this video again because, um, truth be told, I don't want to be in trouble with that spirit again. Um, but at the same time, I do feel like the dark pit I was in, and I'm coming out now. Like, yeah, there has to be maybe some more reason to it. Like, maybe a good thing to come out of that would be to share with others what I did, and the mistakes that I made. Um, and yeah, that it would be a good thing to share that so that you don't make the same mistakes. Um, give it a positive spin. And I also have been very hesitant to name the spirit because I don't want to. Um, I don't want people who work with the spirit already to be worried because again, I'm the one who has like these stupid fears. I'm the one who made those mistakes, and maybe I can see how if you're, for instance, if you're not afraid of death, for instance, a death god, it could work very well with you. And maybe for me, working with a death entity is just not a very good idea because I fear exactly what they're about. So that's already, you know, and yeah, I just don't want people to get to be scared or worried because maybe what happened between me and him won't happen for them. Uh, Maybe he's going to be great for others. So I don't know about that. Yeah, I think I think I kind of said what I had to say. If anyone has any questions, hi Dragon. Yeah, the interesting part is also yeah, that I still find the spirit uh, Eurynomus quite interesting in a way, or intriguing, um, despite what he did. Um, I still, yeah, I have this theory that I kind of wanted to share as well. So I don't know how many people who are watching know anything about black metal, um, or into that, but I thought that maybe he could have or could have become like the spirit of black metal in a way, um, not just because of what he's about, but because of very. I'm not gonna like recite the whole history, but yeah, definitely a big personality, big person in the black metal scene named himself after this spirit. It just wrote it. He named himself Euronymous instead of Eurynomus. That was not sure if that was deliberate or if that was a mistake, but he got murdered. And long story short, um, yeah, it was a whole big thing, with the church burnings and everything. So I wonder if perhaps the real Eurynomus might have attached himself to maybe that person, to that event, or the several events who knows? Maybe he's behind the church burnings, the murders, not, or maybe not really behind it, but taking in the energies, and maybe God's really strong, and maybe he still is doing that, and maybe he has become the god of black metal. That's something, but also because of what black metal is about, and you know, no safe spaces. It's meant to make you feel uncomfortable. Um, yeah, it's kind of something that he does too, at least in my experience. Um, I would say that what he did with me was a very black metal thing. Like, yeah, yeah, and I don't know. It's something that's been on my mind lately, and yeah, who knows? Who knows how strong he really is? That too. Yeah, there's a lot more to that as well. So I'm not sure if I'm able to put a lot of the things that I've been thinking about, if how I'm going to put that into words that don't make me seem insane or anything understandable. But maybe that's worth a different video. I'm not sure. I'm also not sure if I want to pay that much attention to him. But yeah, I just felt like I wanted to share that observation. Um, yeah, it's maybe it was even a case of, hey, you like black metal, let's give you something, let's give you some fucked up things to deal with. Like, let's give you some real nightmares, some hell, and yeah, and maybe he's not entirely wrong. Like, yeah, I wouldn't say play stupid games, not really like that, but I don't know, like it's something, just being real, or yeah, yeah, yeah. I'm lost for words. I'm that, yeah. Lost for words on what I was trying to say. But yeah, he's definitely done put me through things that taught me a lot, and I'm just glad that I'm able to talk about it now, to sit here with all you guys and share this. In a way, the crazy thing is also that I kind of feel good. It's about having overcome an obstacle like that. I don't, this probably sounds insane. It kind of makes me feel, looking back at the past 2 years, because that's how long it took, pretty much. I feel victorious and I feel strong that I did this. Like, I survived this, and who knows? Maybe it could have been an initiation almost. And Of course, I wouldn't have been able to do this without the spirits that helped, that really nursed me back to health and warded him off. Yeah. So that's another top tip. If you ever find yourself under attack from a spirit, um, don't try to do it on your own. It's just, yeah, call in other spirits, let them help you. Yeah, because I don't think I would have been able to do this all alone. No. There was some point where I was even when the anxiety wouldn't stop and it just kept going and going. I'm not a depressive person at all. And one of the scariest parts of this experience was that I was gearing towards depression. Like, yeah, losing losing the will to keep going day after day. And I'm just glad that that turned around for the like I bounced up from there, fortunately. But I can imagine that um, this it's this is maybe come I don't know how to really say this without, like, I don't want to like hurt people or anything, or yeah, be disrespectful, but I can see that um, this is how a spirit can gradually lead you into a depression or worse. And yeah, I definitely got a tiny little taste of that. And maybe if you're a little more prone to being depressive, this could definitely be dangerous. Um, yeah, so that's definitely yeah, some heavy stuff and things to watch out for and be careful, especially um, if you have like a bit of a what is it, predisposition, but if you have been depressed before or like know that you can get there, yeah, maybe definitely be extra careful around unknown or new spirits, like because they can um, get you there. They can push you, and yeah, but fortunately I didn't go that far. Like I never um, I got like I said, I got a little taste of that depression, but I never actually gladly um, got like all the way in, so and yeah, I have a lot of that is thanks to the spirits that are close to me. So yeah, they definitely helped me turn that around. And yeah, being able to share the story. So with all that being said, I don't know if anyone has any still has any questions or comments. Um, Fryer, thank you very much. uh, no need to feel sorry. I mean, this these I think that this is one of these things that just happen on your spiritual path. You're just, I mean, it probably had its reasons, and working with spirits and spirituality is never without danger. There's always risks of these kind of things happening. And maybe everyone or most of us will have some kind of experience like this. Otherwise, you're not going to learn. So, yeah. And I'm just very lucky to be surrounded by great spirits who have my back. And yeah, and I learned a lot. Got a lot of understandings from this, a lot of insights. So without this experience, I wouldn't. I would still be almost like green, like a newbie or something. So um, unless anyone has something to say or ask, I think I kind of did what I had said, what I wanted to say. Thank you, Bella. Yeah, yeah. I guess it's a good thing I made this video. I still have my doubts here and there, like because I was being vague about this topic all the time for a long time, sort of sharing droplets because I did want to express um, to people what was going on. That's another thing that made it very hard is that I wasn't able to talk about it with my family, for instance, because they don't know that I do these things. So um, some friends knew, but it's definitely something that in the physical, at least, um, it's something that I did on my own. I had to keep and keep smiling to the outside world. So yeah, that was not easy. Um, but yeah, where was I? I was actually gonna stop the video soonish. Yeah, Bella, that would be yeah. It's a very long video, a very long story, and probably lots of vagueness. I tried to keep it a little understandable for everyone. And once again, I didn't do this for people to feel sorry for me because it's my own doing. I work, that's another thing, I invited a death entity into my house. So that is my responsibility. Um, a lot of people would probably just say, like, yeah, don't work with demons. Um, it's always a risk. Yeah. And this is also how I learned firsthand why you just don't do spiritual work for free, because it's dangerous work. And yeah, if you don't ever want to deal with this sort of thing, the only I suppose, yeah, you shouldn't work with spirits, but that's yeah, maybe it's a price that's okay to pay or something. I mean, yeah, it certainly hasn't stopped me from making spirit portraits. So for yeah, I pre so fire Pisel. I keep like butchering your name. I'm sorry. Says my own practice pushed me to the edge about a year ago. I know the place that's worse than depression very well. Yeah, I'm very sorry to hear that. Yeah, who knows? Maybe it was the. I've heard some others too. I don't know. Could have been a wave, like some sort of thing where I think someone else was also. I vaguely remember someone else also just having problems with a death god around that same time. And maybe they were just sort of acting up, or there was some sort of yeah bigger thing. It's chance there's always a chance that it's part of some bigger picture. Anyway, yeah, but yeah, yes, it's definitely like spiritual practice can definitely cause problems, and then yeah, it all depends on how you deal with that, how you come out of that, and at some point you look back and you see what you did wrong, and you gain new understandings, and that's how you grow. So yeah, well, with all that being said, it's definitely time for me to get some sleep. um if you have any further questions or comments, of course, feel free to leave them in the comments section. I do check them sometimes. I've not been very active on YouTube lately, but that's uh, that's part of because I just maybe part of because I was dealing with a lot uh, of this. What took me, yeah, takes a lot of energy. So yeah, I, I keep trying to think like, did I say everything that I have had to say? But yeah, and I hope this is certainly a way to put an end to a chapter and move forward, further forward. Uh, I waited for a long time with this video also because I think I had to be in a state of mind where I don't hate Eurynumus anymore. I don't hate him right now. I don't. I don't trust him. Um, at least at this point, I don't trust him. But I have no more of that intense anger. That's a lot of that is mostly gone. So I think it's probably better that I waited, um, and to be able to give a more neutral view of what happened from my perspective, and not make this some sort of spirit bashing video, because there's enough of that. There's enough of, especially when it comes to the darker deities, the darker spirits, there's enough of that negativity about them. So yeah, it's wouldn't have been a good idea to make a video while still angry. So yeah. All right. Good night, everyone, and thanks for watching. And I hope that this video has been of help. So, and hope to see you guys soon.